At long last, I am able to say a few words of my own.
Monty Mont here, our favorite sings podcast. I know you guys have checked us out there, but we back with the Shareholders podcast, man, and it's good to be back once again. And I have a great guest on today. What I do, man, is honestly, I search for entrepreneurs, and the easiest way to do that online is you put in hashtag entrepreneurs, see who's putting themselves together, and we found this gentleman, and I looked this stuff up, and I'm so excited to have him on. This is Justin Sandler. He's a life coach. Justin, how you doing this morning, man?
I'm doing great. I'm excited as well. I think being found gives me some positive affirmation that the hashtags are working. So once you told me it's entrepreneur, I'm always using the entrepreneur hashtag. So thank you for telling me.
Hey, yeah, man. And that it goes to show that, you know, those of you who are trying to get out there on social media, there's people looking to connect. And for me, most of my guests have come just searching for entrepreneurs like that. So let's get into it, man. You are a life coach. Mm-hmm. And I've talked with a life coach previously, but I want to kind of, especially in these times that we're living in, I'd love to get your perspective on some things. But let's start out right here. How did you even get into being a life coach?
Sure. Good question. And I think a lot of people have a lot of questions about life coaching. So whatever you want to ask me, whatever direction you want to go that you think would help your listeners the most, I'm 100% good to take it any direction. So so my background before life coaching is in real estate. So I was in new home sales. So basically you work in the model of new homes, and then somebody comes in, you try to help them to buy a home. And that's what I was doing before I did this. And one of my written goals for last year was that I wanted to go to Barcelona. And this was something that I had always kind of wanted to do. It was like this kind of unicorn in my mind, like I have to go there. And so I went and really, really had so much fun. And I started to think, okay, so I don't know if I can just go back to my little cubicle. Like it kind of expanded my mind, and I became more and more aware that there really are a lot of people out there that are kind of creating and building their life the way that they want it, even like just with blogs, having full-time living. And the more I learned about things like that, the more I thought, okay, this is possible. And what really kind of pushed me into the world of being an entrepreneur and away from real estate, even though real estate is entrepreneur, but I was working for a builder, so kind of a combination, is I went on the top of my apartment complex and I filmed a video called Invisible Risk. And in the video, I basically said that we all see the danger of going and putting ourselves out there. And what if it doesn't work out? What if we lose money? What if it doesn't go the way we wanted? And then we're kind of just right back where we said, but even worse, because we lost all that time and money.
Yeah.
But what I think people don't always realize is the risk of staying where we're at. And so I began to realize that if I stay where I'm at, not only is it risky, but I'm guaranteed to fail, because if I'm not going the direction I want to go, it's actually more risky. So I quickly began to think, oh, it's more risky for me to stay than to go out on my own. And so that was really kind of the big turning point for me that made me kind of go out and begin to build my own thing outside of real estate.
Man, you just nailed everything that we talk about here, man. And I love what you just said, is that if you stay where you are, you know, we talk a lot about comfort zones, and comfort zones, as much as we like them, can be very confining. And it's my normal routine, and this is what I do, and you can't really grow in a comfort zone. So you just saying that. Let me ask you real quick, what was it about Barcelona? You just picked that city, or?
No, that's a good question. I have a little sister who stayed with us from Madrid. So I've been to Madrid before. I love it. I speak Spanish, and I wanted to speak some more Spanish. I do some Latin dancing, like salsa and bachata.
We're going to get on that. I saw you doing that. We're going to talk about
that. I lived in Palma de Mallorca, which is an island off of Spain that's kind of close to Ibiza, if you've ever heard of Ibiza. Mm-hmm. I'd never been to Barcelona, but I heard it was very, very international. I heard it was very beautiful, on the ocean. And I just thought it sounded like a really, really cool place to go.
Nice, 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 man.
Yeah.
We're talking with Justin Sandler. He's got his own company. It's called Just Ether, which we're going to get into as well. So this mindset of an entrepreneur, then, is that something for you that has always been there, or is it something that you've kind of cultivated in the last kind of few years of your life?
That's a good question. Okay, I like these questions. Honestly, I never thought that I would go out and do my own thing, because I always thought I like to know how a system works and then work within a system. So growing up, I never thought I would do something like this.
Yeah.
My dad is a doctor, so he does great for what he does, but it's much more kind of working within a system. I have a little brother who's a lawyer, who's also super, super smart. The people in my family are smart, but they're all kind of working within systems, which there's nothing wrong with at all. I admire them so much, and they're all doing amazing. But it's hard to, I think it's just thinking of what you want. And if what you want lines up with the life you're living and it's working within a system, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think the problem comes when, if your life doesn't look the way that you want, then you're no longer living how you want to live, and then you're not as happy. So being an entrepreneur does allow you to create something that fits you if what you already have doesn't fit you and you haven't been able to find it within a structure that exists. So I think it was just seeing the limitations of the structures that I was in and not feeling like I was using my time to the best of my ability and growing the way I wanted to. And I just kind of, that dissatisfaction began to rise. I mean, human beings, we really make our decisions on dissatisfaction much more than future benefit. So that kind of built up, and I felt like I could create something better on my own than the system that I was in, even though the system was good.
Okay, interesting, interesting. So let me then ask you, so as a life coach, if a person comes to you and they say, you know, I need direction, I should change it like this. How do people know to even come to a life coach? How do they know, man, I need one? What's the first kind of indication for that?
I think it's just, if your life doesn't look really how you want it to look and you're not sure what to do about it. And I think that can look in a lot of different ways. I mean, it can be career related. It could be happiness, fulfillment. It could be relationship related. I think it can be a lot of things, and each person kind of has their own maybe dissatisfaction with their current situation that they would like to change. But I think when someone finally reaches out to a life coach, usually I find that they may have been thinking about this for maybe many months or years. And that dissatisfaction, like we were talking about, that we all experience, me too, I think their dissatisfaction builds and they feel like, okay, this doesn't look the way that I want. It's been this way for a while. I'm not sure what to do. I'm not improving. Maybe I need some help. And I think when they're reaching out, it's kind of that culmination of, okay, I'm not getting past where I want to get past right now.
That's good. That's good. So then let me ask you though, and I think you actually hit on that on your website. What is the difference? Yeah, I checked you out, man. I did.
Awesome.
What's the difference between life coach and like a therapist? You know, where people come for therapy, but then what is the difference between what you do and what they do?
Excellent. So I've definitely done my share of therapy before. I think a lot of people have, and therapy does have its place. So for all, shout out to all my therapists out there. This is not meant any type of negative or hard feelings way. But I think it's good for really monitoring someone from a professional standpoint that really might not be doing well health-wise. So they can really see how they're doing. And, you know, a life coach can kind of do whatever they want to do, but a therapist ethically is not allowed to leave their customer. So they can also reference them to doctors and things like that. So I think if you're maybe severely struggling with depression, severe anxiety, severe bipolar disorder, those may be situations where a therapist might be better unless a life coach has a ton of firsthand experience with those things. So that, I think, is the benefit of the therapist. And there are benefits. The life coach, at least the way I see it, is a little bit different in the sense of I see myself as a professional problem solver. So just to take it back for a moment, when I was in new home sales, I really feel that I was doing the same thing, which makes me feel that even though I'm new in life coaching, I kind of feel like I have a lot of experience because I'm doing the same thing sort of. But someone can come in and they don't really know what they want, and within 2-3 hours they bought a house. You know, even though they had no clue what they wanted, they didn't intend to buy a house. So there's a certain skill set there of like, okay, you know, what is it that needs to happen right now? What is your dissatisfaction? Why are you here? What brings you here? What do you want this to look like? So very kind of problem solving, moving around the pieces. I see life coaching as very, very results oriented. I've been on 100% commission for years. So, you know, you only get paid when you really help someone. And so
yeah,
I don't really try to stretch these things out and make a bunch of money by having way more sessions than you need to. I mean, I'm really trying to solve these problems as quickly as I possibly can for the people and help them.
man, that's awesome, man. And I feel like when you have a genuine heart for what you do and the people that you're helping, it you know, it shows. And so I want to ask you this, man. You know, as we know, there's a lot of stuff going on, man. This is 2020. This year has been, oh my gosh, from
crazy.
January on to now, there's been a lot of, you know, social unrest, things. And I don't want you to give away all your secrets and things like that. But
that's okay. I'm pretty giving.
Yeah, you know, if a young person comes to you tomorrow and they say, you know, Justin, and I've seen the protests, I've seen this, and this year has been crazy, and you know, maybe I was supposed to graduate and I didn't really get to graduate and all these things. Like, I just feel like, you know, I want to be a help, but I need help and all of that. This has been a lot for a lot of young people to deal with. What would be maybe the first thing you would tell a younger person that's coming to you that is just totally out of sorts with what's been happening?
So an exercise that I do with myself a lot, and this is always how I start with the life coaching. So if anybody was ever curious to ever have help, this is always how we would start. Is I always want to know. I asked him. This is from Brian Tracy. He talks a lot about idealization. So he asks, what would your life look like if it were perfect in every way and it was impossible to fail? And we very rarely ask ourselves that question. And if we do ask it, we ask it like, what do we want? And then we think of what we want in terms of what we think we can get, you know, and which usually has a pretty low ceiling. Usually we don't think we can get that much. And so I really, really want to know, what would your life look like if it was perfect? You know, what is it that you want to happen? Not just what you think that could happen. You know, with your career, with how much money do you want? How do you want to dress? How do you want your day-to-day life to look? And this question is very, very difficult. It's kind of the same way. I think a lot of people think, oh, some people just know they want to be a doctor and they come out of the womb that way and then they're a doctor and everything is good.
Yeah.
But I don't believe life is usually that way. I believe developing clarity on the life and how you want it is a lot more like building the body you want. Where if you go and do a bunch of push-ups and sit-ups for 3-4 days, it's just not going to do it because your body's just not there yet. And you have to build it. And so for clarity, for really knowing exactly what your ideal would be, it's kind of like pushing your mind, like moving through molasses, because you've never really asked yourself those things before. So it's so hard to get the answers, but you keep asking and you don't edit. You just write down the stupid things, write down the good things. But when you don't edit yourself and you keep asking yourself these questions, what you actually want is going to start to come out. And that's what we want to know, because we don't know what action we should take if we don't know our outcome. Tony Robbins talks a lot about outcome. What is our outcome? So what that young person should do completely depends on what it is that they want to happen. So first we need to know, what do you want to happen? Which, by the way, is by far the hardest part of success, I think. And then we can know how we want to get there.
Man, that's an excellent answer. Talking with Justin Sandler, man, he's already been giving us some great tidbits, some nuggets, man. You can tell he knows what he's talking about. So
thank you so
much.
much.
Let me ask you this, man. Do you feel, I think for everybody, but for a lot of people that come to you, you've hit on it twice. I've heard you say it now. This failure, like this fear of failure thing, is that really what holds back probably the most? Is that the thing that holds people back maybe the most? Is this, there's a lot of different factors, but that fear of failure, or fear itself, really, do you think is that one of the major things that holds us back?
Yeah, so I think fear of failure is such an interesting topic, right? I mean, most all people who are interested in success look at this, and we all kind of want to know how each other look at it, how we deal with it. I think one of the most interesting things about the fear of failure is I think we're almost always, like, let's say we're here and we're paralyzed, right? I think that we're scared to take this step because we're putting so much weight on that first step. So we prepare, and we put so much pressure on this first action, and then the action doesn't work, and then we kind of give up. But we put too much weight on the beginning and too high expectations on the beginning, and then we get paralyzed and then we never start. So I think something that really helps me with the kind of fear of failure is just understanding how the most successful people approach failure. So for example, you know, they're just the people who decided, I'm gonna just attempt this until I get what I want. You know, so it's like, okay, I already know I'm gonna get it, and I'm just gonna keep acting until I get it. So very successful people are very, very, very action oriented. And at least in the beginning, action is more important than strategy, because you have to get moving, you have to get unparalyzed. And you want to know where you're at on the success curve. I think success is kind of like the Nike curve, or curve of a hockey stick, where you kind of have to understand that there's going to be some time where it doesn't look like things are happening, but that's what everybody experiences. So I think if you understand what all these successful people did and the process they kind of went through and the action that they took, and understand this is just the way the game works, then you can kind of be more patient with yourself. I think in terms of just starting, if you're like, hey, Justin, what if someone's young and they're paralyzed? You know, how do they start? I would say start by dividing whatever you want by like 100. So let's say you want to go talk to the cute girl or cute guy. And I think that most people don't do this because in their mind, at least I'll speak more for the guy's side, I'm a guy obviously, is I think guys think, oh, well, you know, I have to go over there, then I have to say the perfect thing, and then I have to make her smile, then I have to make her laugh, then we have to have a great connection. Then I have to get a date. Then when it has to go well, then I have, you know, and there's so much pressure that all of a sudden, that's a very scary thing to do. But let's say you're so paralyzed and haven't, you know, had any dating experience for a long time. Maybe you just want to practice walking by and smiling. Just smile. Don't do anything else, you know, and practice that. And once you smile and you're not scared to smile anymore, maybe you walk by and smile and slowly say hi as you walk by and build, you know, so it's, divide what you want by 100. If you can't get yourself into the gym and you're just so paralyzed, maybe walk up into the gym and do 1 push-up and 1 sit-up and then leave. You know, you have to do something that unparalyzes you, because the worst possible thing with not being successful is to stay paralyzed. And the most important thing is that massive action. So if you're completely stuck, you have to allow yourself to do something so silly, like 1 push-up or saying hi or smiling or something, that you can get yourself to do that. You can say, okay, I can handle that. And then you can start to build momentum. But the hardest part is being paralyzed. So that's something I've done for myself in different areas of my life, where I say, okay, what if I did a ridiculously small, silly version of what I want so that I get moving? And that's, I think, a really, really powerful thing.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. That's really good advice. I like that. We're just try something. So, man, just a couple more questions, man. I just want
definitely.
Then for you yourself, I like to ask people this question, entrepreneurs, have you had any mentors that have helped you? You know, I know you said maybe your father's a doctor, maybe you've learned some things, but has anybody kind of helped you along the way of your journey as an entrepreneur?
So this is something that I do have mentors, but they're not in person, which I know is a bad thing. I know that it would be really, really good for me to have a great mentor in person. I'm a little picky because I don't want to follow someone unless I feel like they're going where I want to go at like a really high level. So that has its downsides, but I'm very, very influenced by like Tony Robbins, Brian Tracy, Bob Proctor, Jim Rohn. These are people that I really, really study a lot. And I would kind of say that they're like mentors for me. I don't know them in person. I would love to. So if anybody watching knows them, let me know. But those are people that I admire their content a lot. And I think I've been very influenced them in the way I kind of try to put together my own content.
Oh man, listen, I definitely subscribe to that. There's a lot of people that I study and glean things from that I've never met. But so yeah, they might not know they've been a mentor to me, but they are, you know. That's awesome though, man. So let me just get like 2 more in. So
yeah. I'm here. So whatever's the best for your show, I'm here.
No, this is awesome, man. So what do you feel then have you learned from mistakes? You know, sometimes people have a mistake and then they try to just, man, I don't ever want to deal with that again. That was hurtful, that was painful. But have you learned from a mistake? Is there something where you were like, man, that didn't go right, but I learned something from it, you know?
Good question. I mean, I definitely make lots of mistakes. So by me thinking, don't think that I don't.
No.
So I think I'm just trying to see it as part of the journey. And I try to look at what all the most successful people are doing. And if only some of them are doing something, I don't give it as much weight. But if all of them are doing something, then, you know, I weigh that pretty heavily. So most all of these success people are taking massive, massive action. I mean, I really believe it's not possible to be successful without that, because I think something about taking action that people don't always realize is you need that new information. Every time you make a move, and let's say this is the wrong way, and you adjust, and you adjust, and you adjust, and you adjust. And so it's not really bad. It's like if you didn't take that action, you wouldn't have that new information and you wouldn't really know how to readjust. So I think it takes time to learn how to see failure like that. And I think there's some areas in my life where I'm probably better with failure and others where I maybe take it more personally. So, you know, we all kind of we're all in different spots in different areas of our life and we want to improve all of them. Yeah. But I think understanding just the process, you know, like the big picture of like, if you step back and have like the airplane view, you know, what are these successful people doing? They're all acting, adjusting. And it's just the way it works. So if that's the way it works, and if we want what we want, there's kind of a certain like, okay, well, this is the way it goes, so I should do it that way.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, man, let's get into it, man. I see you out there with the salsa dancing. Break that down. What was that about? Was she an instructor, or was she the lady? Was she teaching you, or you?
Oh, yeah, the video I put the other day.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, she's my friend, Angelica. Yeah. So I mean, I've always been really, really into music. Music's a huge part of my life. Mm-hmm. Something I'm really, really passionate about. I grew up playing piano. I play a little guitar. I used to do like spoken word. I used to rap. I could rap in English and Spanish. So I would like record songs and stuff like that. I love using words to express myself. I love the flow of it and the feeling you can create with it. And when I was 18 years old, I got into breakdancing. I first saw breakdancing at my college. There was this big battle. And I'd never seen anything like it. I thought it was incredible. So I started with breaking. I never got very good at it, I will admit. Breaking is really, really hard. And I had a lot of health issues. So I never really, I don't think, had the physical strength to do it because of the health issues I struggle with. At least that's what I tell myself. It is really hard. But when I live in Orlando, Florida. So when I came down here to Orlando, my mom had this little free ticket for a free salsa class. And I thought it was stupid. You know, I thought salsa was like girly or, you know, not something guys do, although that doesn't make any sense because it's a 2-person dance. But I don't know. I took the class. I ended up loving it. And I've been doing it for a number of years and started to go into some private lessons to try to really clean everything up. And as a fun fact, I actually worked in enterprise rent-a-car before real estate. And the reason I went into real estate was because I wanted to have money and time to train salsa. And I wanted to dance like at a competitive level and, you know, pay the top people to train me. Yeah. And then I got so lost in the real estate world because it's so difficult that I didn't end up doing that. And then I succeeded in that and then left to do this. So I felt like, okay, at what point am I gonna actually do this thing that I love? And so maybe a little tidbit or nugget for everybody is, you know, there's never really a right time or an easy time of like when you should start or I'll start when this or that. Yeah. You know, you kind of have to do it now. And back to the invisible risk thing, and this is something that I really, really live my life by, one of the reasons I wanted to become a life coach is that people think, let's say we're 40 years old right now, just to take an easy number. And let's say we're going to live to 80 to take another easy number. So we're assuming that we have 40 years left. And so we kind of calculate our life based on this time that we're assuming that we have. But the danger is that we may not have that time. We're just calculating on averages. Yeah. And so let's pretend that you have 1 year, but you think you have 40. You're living that year differently. And that's a very, very, very risky thing to do. And so a big part of why I started to go out on my own is that I never want to feel like I'm leaving anything on the table. I want to kind of feel like if I were to die at any moment, that I know that I'm going for it and not just kind of go for it in 40 years and calculate this thing that I don't know. So I think that's a very, very risky thing that people do that makes us not go for the things we want. We think we have time.
Man, that's actually well said. Very well said. I like I like that part. That's interesting. So, man, please let people know where they can find you, man. Give your plugs real quick, all your websites, social media, let them know.
Definitely. So, one of the best places would probably be my website, because I have lots of the frequently asked questions of the life coaching, which I know people have. I have the packages that I can help people with and kind of explaining those on there, which is www.justether.xyz. So it's JUSTAETHER.xyz. That would be a great place. I'm on Instagram at I am just ether. That's, I think, one of my very, very favorite platforms, because it's very video friendly and I love to kind of share what I'm thinking. And then I'm on YouTube at Just Ether TV. That would be another great place. So a lot of stuff I'm talking about here, I'm talking about there. I'll shout out my number real quick. If anybody wants to text me, if anybody would like help with life coaching, I'm happy to talk for 30 minutes and see if it's something that might be a good fit for you. My number is 407-967-8391.
Man, listen, hit my guy up. He's a really good guy. Really, as you can see, easy to talk to. I've really enjoyed this. I got to get my last one, and I forgot. Any good books, man? I ask every guest this. Any books you've read that you really could recommend, or you've really been enjoying, or something you're reading right now?
Yes. So, quick shout out about reading, since you asked me. So reading is super, super big. So all the top successful people, if you research it, which I'm sure you do because you asked me the question, they all read an average of 50 books a year. Some of them are reading more. So almost exactly 2 years ago, I started really studying success, and I'm almost at the 2-year mark, which would be August 1st. And I've almost read my 100 books, which is 50 and 50. So I'm a really big reader. It's completely changed my life. The way you want to see reading is you want to see it like you could keep going like this, or you could have a ladder and climb up the ladder and get to where you want. So it's, whenever you see something that all successful people are doing, you really have to put weight on that, you know, and it's a big time investment. So if these people that are way more busy than us with probably way more important things have time to read 50 books a year and we don't, it really just doesn't make sense. So huge shout out to reading. If you want what you want, if you want this crazy, amazing life, you know, you have to read 50 books a year the same way you have to eat, sleep, and go to the gym. Like, you just have to. Yeah. So that's the way I view it. I have 2 books here that I read recently by Bob Proctor. Big fan of Bob Proctor. I feel like the way he explains what it takes to be successful really, really makes a lot of sense. But something else of another book I would shout out, or a category that I would encourage people to read, is books on body language. So body language is so, so fascinating and can completely change the way you experience your life and your interactions with other people. It's really incredible. That's what allowed me to become very successful in sales. Was I learned body language. I stopped listening to what they were saying, and I just learned to read what was happening. And so I would give a little shout out to body language. Look it up, find some books. It's absolutely fascinating. Man,
I love that. I didn't think about that. What was the name of that Bob Proctor book? Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, so one is the ABCs of Success, and then The Art of Living. To be honest, sometimes the books kind of blur in my mind, so I don't remember which one had what. But even if you look him up on YouTube, he's really, really good success teacher.
Awesome. I like that body language tip though, man. So if you guys, you see that, he's giving you some real good gems. I hope you guys are really listening to that, man. This is the Shareholders Podcast. It's Monty Mont here. I have an amazing guest, Justin Sandler.
Thank you so
much. All the information. Hit him up, man. Justin, I want to thank you for the time. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Have a great day, man. You know, of course, stay safe, be healthy out there as well, all right?
You too, man. Thank you so much.
All right.
This has been a production of the Mighty Sharp Network. Executive producer is Monty Mont. Watch the corners and always stay sharp.